Exploring
What I
integrity,
want to do is this.
conflicts, and
It only
investigative
makes sense.
failings in a gripping, skit-based
The
expose.
Integrity Commission. Unlike the Integrity Commission, what we're gonna do, Kevin and I, we're gonna do a little skit. We're gonna do it's not a recreation. What we call it,
A reenactment.
reenactment of the interview conducted by them. But here's what we're gonna do it the right way, and we're gonna do it the wrong way. We're gonna do it the right way initially, because what we're going to do is that we are going to show you the basis for the investigation in law and in policy. Because what they're saying, what the commission was saying, was that there was a conflict of interest, because it was alleged that there was a relationship between Minister Tufton and this lady, and not only a professional relationship, there's a personal relationship, and therefore he would be required to report that, and as a result, I don't think she would even be eligible to get the contract. That's one. So we're gonna put those things up and show you, because we want you to follow. We don't want to tell you the story and then tell you what them violate. We just want to show you. So one of the first things I want to do is this. You remember there was an argument about the Nolan principles, that the commission had trained the government, opposition and ruling party, and the opposition signed off on the Nolan principles, but that the government didn't sign off on it. This is not something that happened just yesterday, nor when they received the training. This thing happened way back 23 years ago. 23 years ago. You don't believe me? Here's a proof. Look at the date on that. Here it is. Ministry Paper 19, 2002. And it talks about the conduct of ministers, how you're supposed to conduct yourself, proper decorum, all that. And here it is, standards in public life, and here it is right here. Talks about the 7 principles of public life. Here they are. Selflessness. Look at the next one. Integrity. See that? Holders of public office not place themselves under and should be under financial or other obligation to outside individuals or organizations that might influence them in the performance of their official duties. Selflessness, look at that. It is an offense. Holder of public office should take decisions solely in terms of the public interest. It is an offense to do so in order to gain financial or other material benefits for themselves, their families, and friends. All right. Objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, leadership. It was signed by P.J. Patterson, and look at the date, 29th of April 2002. This thing has been around. So for them to refuse to sign this, I don't understand why. Because they were supposed to be acting under this. This was signed for Parliament. Now they were asked to sign it for the commission, and they won't sign it for the commission. Even though in Parliament they have to act under this regime. But the question is, and then it goes on, conduct of ministers, it starts, it tells you what they should and what they shouldn't do, right? The question is, were they acting in concert with the rules? Look at this. Look at number 3. Look at this one right here. Look at this one right here. This one. It is of paramount importance. It is of great importance that ministers give accurate and truthful information to Parliament, correcting any inadvertent error at the earliest opportunity. Ministers who knowingly mislead Parliament will be expected to offer their resignation to the Prime Minister. No, the Commission is a creature of Parliament. You could argue that it is Parliament. And so when that investigation took place, they were supposed to tell the truth, right? No, that's number 1. Let me move to number 2, Public Procurement Act. Let me go to this one. You have anything you want to say, Kevin?
Oh no. In relation to this, or just generally? Generally, just a few reminders. OJLDF.net. Visit the website, see how you can participate in the activities of the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, and that's where you go to make your donation. If you sign the Magnitsky Act, you don't donate there. You go to One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation's website to make your donation, and you can specify there what you want to donate to, whether it is hurricane relief, or the Magnitsky Act, or just the running of the foundation. That is where you do it. And do like, subscribe, and share this broadcast. Please and thanks.
All right. This is the handbook of public sector procurement procedures, which the minister should be familiar with, right? Here, conflict of interest. That's one of the things that the commission looked at. And here it says, any government of Jamaica employee of which a minister is involved in the procurement process and he was involved in the procurement process, even though the commission was saying that he wasn't really involved. But you're gonna see that he was involved, was entered into or is about to enter financial or business relationship that might involve a conflict of interest must immediately inform their supervisors in writing.
Immediately.
That's the first thing. Yeah, immediately tell him about it. Here's a definition. Here, look at this note up here. See this? Says this one right here. Public officers shall declare any personal interest that may affect or might reasonably be deemed by others to affect impartiality in any matter relevant to their duties. So if it's directly and indirectly. So if it could be reasonably deemed by somebody, there's something going on between these two, and it might affect the impartiality of the matter, then it must be. But then it's not only that person, you know, but also if you know about it, you have a duty to report it. And guess what? The person you're involved with too, them have a duty because they're charged under the law. Now, here it is. A conflict of interest exists when employees involved in the procurement process, look at this, have a direct or indirect interest or a relationship with an outsider that is inherently unethical, or who it might be implied or construed could make possible personal gain due to his or her ability to influence dealings or otherwise inhibit the impartiality of the employee's judgment. It's right there. It means what it says. Here it is, right? A public officer shall declare any, there's a word right here, any relationship with a bidder, contractor, or consultant. And by the way, that lady claimed to be a consultant, and shall take no part. So the first thing is that you have to declare the relationship. The second thing is you can't take any part in the decision-making process or the implementation of the contract where such a relationship exists. Now, what the law says, this that you're seeing here, it's reflective of the Public Procurement Act or Public Procurement Regulations of 2008. And you see where it says this, consanguinity or affinity, that's the definition of a personal relationship. That's just one type of relationship. You have social, you have professional, you have all kinds of relationship. So this was only defining a personal relationship is defined as. But look above it, where it says a public officer shall declare what? Any relationship. Any means what? All. You have to declare it. You have to declare it. And here's another one. I don't know if we'll have time to even get to the law, because this is actually a reflection of the law. So everything I'm showing you here, you can go to the Public Procurement Act or the Public Procurement Regulations, 2008, 2015, 2018, and you will find them there. And by the way, the commission made an error when it says that some of these laws, they ended in 2018. Not true. They ended April 1st, 2019. That's why we don't call them Integrity Commission. We'll call them Commission. It is no individual shall use his or her authority or office for personal gain. Personal gain includes accepting or requesting anything of material value from bidders, prospective bidders, or contractors for the individual. We'll stop it right there. So, and that you must, right here, so you must adhere to the highest standards of honesty and integrity in all relationships. And this is important. You must comply with the letter and the spirit of the laws of Jamaica. Here it is. And it goes on and on and on. Gifts. Public officers shall not accept gifts. So let me ask you a question. If you're sleeping with somebody who is in the process of getting a contract with the government and you're a government official, is that a gift? Is that act a gift? I would argue that it is. And here it is that you must report all of this stuff, all of this. You have to report it. And then here it is. Here it is why I said it. It says right here, examples of unethical conduct. And here it is, accepting or requesting money, travel, meals, entertainment, gifts. Here's another one. Favors, and you've heard the term sexual favors, discounts, or anything of material value. And this is in the disjunctive, or, not and. So it's this, that. And here it is again. You can't ask people to help you violate the public procurement rules. It's right here. And you can't ignore ethics, code of ethics. All right, we'll move this now. Here's what we're going to do now. The Integrity Commission did a very sloppy investigation. Let me pull up their thing, and I'm going to show you something here. By the way, we've been told that that's his friend right here.
Boy.
Or better yet, hold on. Okay. I was trying to make an arrow, but it not over. But anyway, let me just make it green.
The struggle is real, boy.
The struggle is really real, not just real. There is the young lady, and I don't know her. I don't know who it is, but it has been pronounced in public that this is the lady, the minister's friend. All right, now let me move this. Kevin, you know me need now. Let me just go to the report.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see it right here. Okay, no, here it is. Sorry. All right. Before Kevin and I go into this little skit here, because Kevin going to ask me a bunch of questions, right?
Yeah. Oh, set it up. I'll be right back.
All right. Let me show you something. Oh, we already spoke about the violation committed by the commission, in the sense that the commission violated its own rules in terms of the gag order, and they hold Minister Tufton and his friend and two permanent secretaries, former and a current one, about the investigation. So when people were asking, well, how did they find out about this? Oh, well, we hear things before it has been tabled in Parliament. Trace it back to that. And by the way, Mr. what's his name? Dunstan Bryan, who was the permanent secretary at one point. He was a permanent secretary from November 2018 until August 2024. He left where we've been given the understanding that he left on a study tour, or go overseas to study. And now we've been given the understanding that he has returned to Jamaica. We don't know why. We don't know in what capacity. The only thing that we know based on this report is that this gentleman cannot be trusted. This gentleman should have been charged. He should have been charged for some of the things that he said in the report. In fact, the quarterly report that should have occurred, he didn't even know that a contract received, the first contract received by Market Me, it wasn't put in the quarterly report. Now, that first contract was in January of 2017. Now, he came on board November 2018. But there is a contract that happened while he was there. The contract was on July 4th, 2019, in the amount of 38.9 million Jamaican dollars. And it wasn't reported. Now, let me show you something here. Let me show you how the commission, and we're going to talk about the commission a little bit, but look at this. Well, actually, the first paragraph, it says, this investigation report concerns allegations of conflict of interest. Remember me telling about that, in the award of contracts to the entity Market Me Consulting Limited by the Ministry of Health and Wellness for the development and implementation of a social marketing campaign during the period January 2016 to December 2020. Now, we know that this is not true. Let me see if I can big it up. This is false. Or as Mr. Sauls would say, they're lying to us. You know why? Because in January 2016, you know who was in power? It was the PNP. And this lady, she made it clear that she made her overtures to the Ministry of Health in March, when the JLP took over in 2016. And you see what they also said, this January 2016, look at the last line of the first paragraph, during the period January 2016 to December 2020. Now, we know that December 2020 is not correct, because you know why? There were two contracts issued to the same Market Me by the same ministry in 2021. There was a contract issued on January 12, 2021, and another one March 16, 2021. So how come them have this period right or so? This period here is wrong. This period, January 2016 to December 2020, is wrong. It didn't start in January 2016, started March 2016, and it didn't end December 2020. The contract ended in 2021. So we have a problem with them. Them never know the dates. What them I talk about. All right. Now, what we're gonna do now is we don't know how this is gonna go, because we didn't practice, right? We didn't practice, people, believe me. So what happened now is Kevin is going to ask me questions. Kevin is going to pretend. Actually, Kevin is going to. What you want to do, Kevin? You want me to go first, or you want you go first?
Well, mine is shorter.
Okay. So you will question me. You will pretend to be the
other way around, because me as Market Me is shorter.
Okay. So you want me to ask you then the question?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's first question. I'm gonna first question. Well, Here, we'll do it like a real thing. Good afternoon, Ms. McDonough. As you're aware, we're investigating your company and the contracts, 15 contracts it received from the Ministry of Health. There were allegations about conflict of interest, and there were allegations about the contracts themselves. And the purpose of this investigation is to determine if there were any violation. And because you were intimately connected to the dealings with the ministry, we would like to ask, or I would like to ask you some questions pertaining to those dealings and also your connection to minister and the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The first question is, where did you go to school?
Good evening. Do pardon my voice. I'm a little bit hoarse coming down with something. Of what relevance is my schooling? Based on the interview, it's about market me, not about me.
Yes. The reason why your schooling is important is because we have information indicating that the minister, who has a PhD in marketing, was a lecturer at the University of the West Indies. And so we're trying to determine where, how, when you met him. So the question again is, let me rephrase. Did you attend the University of the West Indies?
Again,
As
that's
a
irrelevant
student,
to the
or were you there? I beg your pardon?
I still don't see it relevant. That's again irrelevant to the basis of the interview, which is about market me.
Okay. The relevance is that the minister said that he lectured at the university. We would like to know if you were at any point at the university while he was there as a lecturer. And were you there as a student, as a lecturer, or in some other capacity?
That's still about me and not market me.
Okay. How did you meet the minister?
Okay.
Well, first of all, have you ever met the minister?
Well, yes.
Where did you meet the minister?
The minister and I met back in 2016 during the period of which Market Me was involved in Jamaica Moves. So 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. And based on that, I'd like to reiterate and to make it clear that Dr. Tufton and I only had a professional relationship.
You just testified that you met, or just provided information that you met the minister in 2016. Can you recall when in 2016 you met the minister?
That would be when we made arrangements as it related to Jamaica Moves.
Okay. All right. Let me just pause here and get a little comment. She claimed that she met the minister, I think in 2011, and that Market Me was registered in 2013. It was 2016 when she went and started her negotiations with the ministry. So she met him in 2011, and the company Market Me was registered in 2013. So you met him in 2011
in a professional capacity.
In a professional capacity. Would you care to say specifically where and when and in what capacity?
I managed the data center for the party.
Okay. You managed the data center for the party, and that's where you met Minister Tufton. Were you aware at the time that when you met Minister Tufton that he was married?
I don't see the relevance of that.
Okay. You don't want to tell us where you went to school. You don't want to tell us if you went to the University of the West Indies. You don't want to tell us if you were there while he was there. And also, the question I would have asked along those lines is, were you, when he was lecturing, if you were there as a student, were you in any of his classes? You don't want to answer that. And you said you met in 2011 in a professional setting. You were managing a data center for the party and started this company in 2013. Are you aware that Minister Tufton has a specialty in marketing?
I am now aware, since we have worked together with Market Me.
Okay. You said that you met Minister Tufton in a professional setting. What would you say if I told you, and I'm telling you now, that Minister Tufton said he met you in a social setting and he met you in a running club? He didn't meet you at the data center doing work for the party. What would you say if I told you that Minister Tufton said that? Would you say that he's lying?
Well, it would have been a big running club. I don't know who would have met me from who didn't.
So you're not quite sure then if the meeting took place at the running club or which one took place first? The meeting at the running club or the meeting at the party? At the party. And that party, I take it that to mean that you're talking about the Jamaica Labour Party. correct?
Well, as I stated before, I can say that I remember meeting him in 2011 in a professional capacity as I managed the data center for the party.
Before 20, after you formed Market Me, and before 20, you registered Market Me in 2013. Did Market Me have a contract with the government?
Sorry, before when?
Between the time, well, from the date of registration 2013 to 2016, when you got your contract, actually 2017, January 2017. Between then, did you have a contract with the previous government?
Well, so the information.
The reason why I'm asking is because it just seemed rather strange that you would form a company in 2013. You would have an affiliation with the minister who's a marketing genius. Your company would be called Market Me. It would be a marketing company. But then the first time you would get a contract would be in 2017 under a new government, because you're claiming that your first interaction with him as far as Market Me and the government is concerned is occurred back in March, somewhere about March, April timeframe, when the government changed, and so you approached him with this Market Me idea.
Well, to my knowledge, and my recollection, there was no substantive involvement of
Okay.
Tufton.
There's no substantive involvement. First, let's look at the issue of, before we get into the contracts, direct contracting and emergency contracting, let's look at the conflict of interest piece. Before you received the contract, did you have a sexual relationship with the minister, or with Mr. Tufton? Because he didn't become a minister until 2016.
You're asking me questions about my personal life and not relating to Market Me. I don't see the relevance.
Okay, let me explain the relevance to you. It's relevant because, as we just pointed out, if you have a relationship with somebody and you're a public officer, you're supposed to report that immediately. In fact, you shouldn't even get involved with that if the person is trying to obtain a contract or contracts with the government. If you're a public officer, you have to report that, and essentially you shouldn't even be involved with a relationship like that. So that's why I'm asking, did you have a personal relationship with him?
We only met in a professional capacity.
You only met in a professional capacity. When did that capacity change? When did it go from being a professional capacity to a sexual relationship?
Again, my personal life, this is not an interview about me personally. It's about Market Me. So my professional life has no bearing on this interview.
Well, here's why there is some bearing. Because you said that your relationship with the minister was completely professional from 2016 through 2020. Is that true?
Correct.
But then if we take it that face value that your professional relationship ended, or you had another relationship with him after 2020, then it would be problematic because you had contracts in 2021. Didn't you have contracts in 2021?
In 2021?
Yep.
Well, in 2021, Market Me Consulting Limited.
In fact, let me stop you there, Miss McDonough. Let me stop you there. In fact, you said that first you gave a statement, and the statement was that you said the Honorable Christopher Tufton is personally known to me since 2011 when I was working in a professional capacity. And since that time, we have worked periodically in a professional capacity. And that you became aware of various allegations on social media in or about July 2020 with the title "Wife Cheated On." And that a lot of things were said about a myriad of allegations about you and the minister. And that you were involved in a romantic relationship with him for 7 years. And you said which allegations were false. I'm not even going to ask you, because it sounds like a compound sentence, like, everything just mixed up. I would ask you individually, were you in a relationship with a romantic relationship with the minister? Was that relationship for 7 years?
I consider a romantic affiliation as alleged to be a private matter, which has no bearing on the contractual relationship between Market Me and the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
You said that because you said you consider romantic affiliation to be a private matter. Yes, and it has it has nothing to do with the contractual relationship between Market Me and the ministry. However, in terms of a conflict of interest, if you're having a romantic relationship with him, then you shouldn't be eligible to get contracts from the government. Therein lies the conflict of interest. If you're sleeping with him, you're not eligible. You shouldn't be getting contracts from his ministry, as a matter of fact, too. It's not like some other ministry. His ministry. If that is what you're doing, you shouldn't be having. And then also, if this is so false, I just find it curious. This is not a question, just an observation. I find it curious that you didn't file a lawsuit for defamation. If what they said about you is just completely made up. I mean, those are some serious accusations that you're sleeping with this married man and that you had this relationship for 7 years. Did you sue anybody on this?
I did not.
I can't hear you.
I did not pursue any such matters. And I would like to make it abundantly clear.
Yes.
In 2016,
I hear you. Your voice is trailing.
2016, 2017, and 2018 and 2019, the period during which Market Me was involved in Jamaica Moves, the subject matter of the investigation, Dr. Tufton and I only had a professional relationship. Period.
Okay, fair enough. So what you're saying is that before 2016, you had, because you met him in 2011. So you're saying between 2011 and let's say 2015, you had a different relationship. It wasn't professional. And then after 2019, it was no longer, if it was professional, there was another relationship. That's what it seems.
Again, the basis of this interview is about Market Me and not about me.
It is Market Me. It is about you. Here's a problem that is readily observable. You said that 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019, your relationship with him was only professional, leaving the impression before 2016, it was something else. And after 2019, it was something else. So let's take what you're saying at face value. That 2016, 17, 18, and 19, you had only a professional relationship with him. And whatever happened after that, you're saying it's nobody's business, but it's our business because we're investigating this matter for possible conflict of interest. Here is the problem. 2019, you had 3 contracts. May 1st, 2019, August 8th, 2019, July 4th, 2019. So after 2019, it sounds as if you're saying that you had more than a professional relationship because up to 2019, you said I only had a professional relationship. 2019. But in 2020, June 27, 2020 and July 26, 2020, you received contracts from the ministry. Then you have 2 more contracts in 2021. So you've left out 2 years there. So what are we supposed to think as far as your relationship with the minister is concerned for those 2 years that you received 4 contracts over a 2-year period? What are we supposed to think?
Again, this interview is about Market Me and not about me.
Well, do you consider the minister a friend?
A friend? I know the minister in a professional capacity.
He has described you as a friend. So you're saying that I don't care what he says. I'm telling you that I'm a professional in every sense of the word when I'm around him. He may say I'm his friend. That's his business. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying I know the minister in a professional capacity. And whereas we have worked together extensively on Jamaica Moves, we have mutual and cordial relationships.
Miss McDonough, do you understand the nature of direct contracting when you're doing business with the government?
What about it?
Do you understand that for a direct contract means that the government is going to give one person the contract? There is no competitive bidding. It's one person. And there are several reasons for doing that. One of them is emergency, where you say, we need this thing right now, and there's nobody else who can do it except this person. Another is where you say it's done for research, development purposes. In one of your contracts, you mentioned that. It's mentioned that it was for development. What kind of development was that?
The development of the idea of Market Me, Jamaica Moves.
Okay, but that's not what it speaks to. When it speaks to that kind of development, it's talking about like research and development type thing. It's not talking about coming up with a physical activity program. That's not what it's referring to. So how did you get that contract?
Well, I'd like to state that at no point did Market Me or any of its representatives engage in any negotiations directly or indirectly with this individual in relation to any contracts that were awarded.
Is it customary for you to do business with the government on weekends?
I'm sorry?
Yes, no?
Doing business on the weekends?
Yes.
What are
Is
you
it customary for you to meet with government officials to do business on the weekend?
I don't understand what you're referring to.
Okay. Let me refresh your recollection. There was a meeting held on a Saturday, and at that meeting there was at least one official from the Ministry of Health along with the minister himself, and they met at a different location than at the ministry. And the purpose of that was so that you could talk to this ministry person about your contract. Do you recall that?
Again, I'll state that at no point in time did Market Me or any of its representatives engage in any negotiations directly or indirectly with this individual in relation to any contracts that were awarded.
So you're saying that you would have us believe that you met this man in a professional setting or in a social setting. He's a marketing official and you are getting involved in marketing, and you never had a conversation with him. But as soon as he became minister, you turned up on his doorstep. And then negotiations started, resulting in a contract being issued the following year, and followed by 14 more contracts. And you would have us believe that there was nothing going on between you and the minister, because remember, you're under oath. And also remember that there's something called conflict of interest, of which is punishable under the law. And you're saying, no, there's absolutely no conflict. Or you're saying, I don't want to talk about it because it was all about Market Me. But Market Me does not present itself. Somebody has to present Market Me. And that person was you. I know you have a co-owner, but from what we're seeing, you were the person who had most of the conversations with the ministry. So you would have us believe that it had nothing to do with me, it's Market Me, but the company can't walk into the ministry and say, I want to have a meeting. The company has to be represented, and you're you're a co-owner, and the evidence shows that you were the one who had all these conversations, or most of these conversations, with the ministry. So is that what the understanding you would have us you would have us walk away with?
I would like for you to understand that there was no substantive involvement of Dr. Tufton to the proposal in question. I merely indicated that the Market Me team conceptualized an idea and wished to share with the ministry.
All right.
And he encouraged that the ministry had an open door policy and was always willing to listen and entertain novel ideas in doing things.
Are you aware that there was another company providing the same services that you provided to the government, and in fact they are contracted with the government? Are you aware of that? That there's another company
you need to be aware of. No, the government does what the government does. Just
Okay.
know that at no point in time did Market Me or any of its representatives engage in negotiations directly or indirectly with the individual in question.
Yeah, but now we're talking about the conflict of interest. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the conflict of interest, saying that you got contracts and there is a possibility, based on what you said, that you had your professional relationship. You're saying, you're giving the indication that it ended in 2019, but then we see where you still had 4 contracts, 2 the following year and 2 the year after that. And so the question is, what was your relationship with him then? Why didn't you say, I had a professional relationship with him all pertinent periods that Market Me was involved with the government? You didn't say that. You stopped at 2019.
Well, as I said before, this is all about Market Me, and you're asking a question that is relative to me personally.
All right.
So
Let me just before we finish up, because we're almost have an half one. Folks, here's the things that Kevin said came straight out of the report. That's what she told them. The questions I asked were the questions, some of them, that weren't asked. And let me tell you what else I didn't ask. Because one of the things you have to try and prove is that these two were involved. They were involved. And if they were involved, it's a crime for her to have received contracts. It was a crime also for him, or at least policy violations for him not to have reported that to the Prime Minister. Here is what the Integrity Commission should have done. Because you're trying to prove that these two were involved in an illicit relationship. So they should have asked her, were you ever at the University of the West Indies? Were you ever a student? Because you're trying to figure out where did she actually meet him? Because she's telling you that she met him in a professional setting, but I'm not bound by what she's telling me. I'm trying to find out the truth. So I want to find out, when did they first met? And because he said he lectured at the university teaching marketing. And because she came up with this marketing thing, then it would make sense to say, well, wait a minute. Was she ever a student? Did they meet on campus? Or what happened there? So I would start there. Another thing I would have done is I would have asked for her phone number. I would have gotten her phone number. I would have gotten his phone number. And for that period where she said she met him then, from 2011 up until the end of the contract, till 2022. Right. Till 2022. The contract ended 2021, but I'd go to 2022. What I would do is I would pull the text messages to see what happened between these people. Also, I would do a geolocation, and you can go back and do that to find out where both phones were. Because if the technology shows you that both phones were in the same location at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, then what that tells you, that's called a clue. That's what that's. If she's saying we had no relation, it was professional, then the question is, well, wait a minute, how come both phones, the phone belonging to you and the phone belonging to him, they're in the same location in the wee hours of the morning on a regular basis? Also, when she told them that the professional relationship went to 2019, that was a second statement. That wasn't her first statement. If she gave that second statement, I would say, well, wait a minute, but you have more contracts in 2020 and 2021. So are we to assume that then the relationship changed and now you're sleeping with him, if that's the case? Because if that is the case, then both of you are guilty of violating the law and policy. So I would have asked her that. I would have said, you stopped at 2019. So what am I supposed to assume from that? Because there were more contracts. And if you were having a relationship with him, let's say you didn't have a relationship with him from 2016 up to 2019. But let's say you started having a relationship with him in 2020. You were still getting contracts in 2020. So there is a problem. And believe me, folks, the list goes on and on and on. But what I want Kevin now to ask me now. I'm Minister Tufton. I want Kevin now to ask me, and I'm not going to hear the foolishness come out of the minister's mouth.
So since the stage has already been set, we're jumping right into this. So Dr. Tufton, good afternoon. Please tell us about your schooling.
Yeah, I went to high school in Jamaica, and I studied overseas. And I received a PhD in marketing, and that's the extent of which I will reveal to you. I went to school in Jamaica, went to school overseas. I'm highly educated and received a PhD in marketing.
What's your marital status, Dr. Tufton?
My marital status is I'm married, but there are some things. People go through all kinds of things in life, and there are some things, but I'm married.
Okay. Have you ever been an educator? Are you a teacher? Have you ever been a teacher?
Yes. When I came back from the States with my PhD in marketing, I saw it fit to educate the young minds in Jamaica. And the best way I could seek to do that was to be a lecturer. And to that extent, yes, I was a lecturer at the University of the West Indies, teaching marketing to young minds to develop the cadre of marketeers in Jamaica.
To your recollection, was there a Lindsay McDonough as one of your students or faculty member when you were at the University of the West Indies?
Well, look, I taught a lot of people. I taught a lot of people from a lot of countries. And so, to ask me if a particular person was in my class, I don't recall. And this happened a long time ago. So I don't know how to answer that. I just don't recall having a person by that name in my class.
But you do know who Lindsay McDonough is, correct?
Well, that's a common name. And so, I know a lot of Lindsays. So, when you say Lindsay McDonough, who are you referring to specifically?
Are you familiar with Market Me? What is your knowledge of it, if you are?
I am familiar with Market Me, yes.
And what is your knowledge of Market Me?
Market Me came to my attention when, back in 2013, somewhere around there, I heard about this proposal for a company to become involved in marketing. And then when I became minister in March, I believe it was March 2016, it came to my attention again.
Who brought it to your attention first in 2013?
2013. It's a friend of mine. It's a friend of mine I met at the running.
What's the name of that friend?
Her name is Miss McDonald or McDonough, one of those names. Miss Max something. Miss, yeah.
Does she have a first name?
Of course, everybody has a first name. You're asking me if I know the first name? If
Do
I
you
remember.
know the first name?
The lady represented herself as, I think it's her first initial is L.
So you met her as Miss L. McDonough or Miss Donald, Miss something, Mac something?
No, you had asked me earlier. No, that it's coming. I'm recollecting now. The Market Me proposal came to me through this young lady, Miss Lindsay McDonough. You'd asked me if I taught this person or something to that effect, and I told you that I couldn't recall. But no, I do recall that, not that the person was in my class, but that this is a person who brought Market Me to my attention, and that we did meet a running club in or about 2011.
So you met her in 2011, but don't remember if you taught her or she was a part of your faculty at the University of the West Indies?
You know what? Maybe I should, but honestly, I don't. I
Okay.
don't. I have to. Yeah.
So what was the nature of your relationship after meeting her at the running club? When did you say you met her? 2011?
Around 2011, somewhere around.
Okay, what was the nature of your relationship?
The relationship, it was professional. I found her to be very resourceful because, the party needed young professionals, and she came in and she was very helpful in that regard.
I'm sorry, with the party?
Yes, the Jamaica Labour Party. Yeah.
How was she involved with the Jamaica Labour Party?
She was at the data center. She used to do a lot of things in the data center. Specifically, I don't know. But she also helped out in my constituents in a professional manner.
So did you meet her at the running club or did you meet her at the data center?
Can't recall. I mean, I've seen her at the data center. We've had functions at the data center. We've had functions at the running club.
When was she at the data center?
When was she there?
Yes. In what period of time?
I don't recall. You mean when she started or when I met her there?
Okay, when did you meet her there?
I met her somewhere around 2011, somewhere around that time frame. Don't hold me to it.
When did you meet her at the running
It's been a
club?
while. It's been a long time. Huh?
When did you meet her at the running club?
Somewhere around that time too. That's why I'm saying I'm not quite sure where I met her first, if it was at the running club. Because, sometimes you see people and you say hi. Some people might consider that a meeting and some people might not. The running club, the data center, we're not splitting hairs here. I met her 2011.
Okay. What was your relationship with her between 2011 and 2016?
Professional. Very professional.
Okay. Between 2016 and 2019, what was the nature of your relationship then?
A very professional relationship. Very professional relationship. She was a pleasure to work with, and she had a very good proposal, something that I was interested in as a new minister, and so I explained to my staff, concerning the direction I wanted to take Jamaica, because listen, we're a population that is beset by diabetes, hypertension, and other maladies connected to inaction. We don't do enough exercise, even though we have some of the greatest runners and footballers, and we just don't, the ordinary person. So my idea was to get a company that could go out and market this so that we could get people out of the chairs, from sitting down here or spending too much time in bed or whatever, and just come out and, start doing things, because in the end, that is going to benefit the Jamaican government and benefit them as well, because it will be fewer people coming to the hospitals with these issues, because, exercise, as you're aware, is a very good angle to deal with some of these issues. In fact, to deal with them before they even start. So that was my idea. I shared that with my staff, and I said, look, she has a company that's involved with marketing this kind of thing, and that they should extend some courtesies in terms of listening to what she had to say.
How did you know that she had that company?
Because in 2013, she approached me, and as soon as I became a minister, soon thereafter, and that's when we had a conversation, and she explained to me that she had a company, and she just wanted to see if the ministry had any interest in partnering with her company on this initiative to get Jamaican people healthy and strong. That was my mission. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Do you know what conflict of interest means?
Yes.
What does it mean to you?
Conflict of interest means to me that You in layman's terms, you don't get involved with a contractor. You don't get involved in a relationship with them, and it doesn't have to be. It could be any kind of relationship. Essentially, that if they're bidding on a contract or if they're getting a contract, especially from your ministry, that you don't get involved. You distance yourself from it, because otherwise there's a conflict. And the conflict doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be real. It could be perceived, that because I know you, that's why you get the contract. That's
Okay,
that's a
that's a pretty extensive understanding. So, are you aware of the policies and laws against conflict of interest and the consequences?
well, you know, there's so many laws in Jamaica. You can't know everything. You try your best and you learn as you go along with some of these laws. There's no one person in Jamaica who can tell you honestly that they know every law in Jamaica
Do
or
you?
every law governing there.
Yes, but are you aware of the policies and laws against conflict of interest and the consequences?
I am aware the ministry played a pivotal role, because what happened, we needed this initiative to start as quickly as possible. And so the ministry made the effort to ensure the contracts were executed in a timely fashion so that the people of Jamaica could benefit. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's not about Mark, it's not about me or, you know, the young lady who runs the company. It's about the people of Jamaica. It's about getting them active. It's about getting them ready to deal with life without the stress and strain of hypertension and diabetes. It's about getting people to eat properly and exercise.
Okay, Dr. Tufton. Thank you. Quick question. Just tell me, yes or no. Do you think the actions between you and Ms. McDonough breached any policies or law? A quick yes or no would suffice.
Well, look, all I can tell you that I've been vindicated by the Integrity Commission. That's all I can tell you. They looked at it. I mean, your colleagues, they looked at it and they said, we're just gonna do a referral. To the speaker. There's nothing there about any breaches of any laws or anything like that. Because otherwise they would have
My
referred it
question
to.
to you, sir. I'm sorry. My question to you, sir, is: do you think that your actions or her actions or the combination of your actions breached any policies or laws? Yes or no?
Well, what I would tell is that there was inaction. It's not action. There was inaction. There's nothing going on there. That's what I
My
would tell
question
you.
is a yes or no question, sir.
If our actions breach the law,
Or any policies. Yes or no?
well, remember I started out telling you that I know that there are laws and there are policies, but I don't know them specifically. So for me to say yes or no would be disingenuous after giving you that answer, because I really don't know what the specifics are. I'd have to go back and look at the specifics, but I don't think we violated anything. But I'd have to go back and look at the specifics.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. You see, folks, what happened here again is that Minister Tufton was claiming that he had nothing to do with it. Yet, he told his staff to extend some courtesies to her. He told his staff that he was interested in going a certain direction, and that what they were proposing, they meaning Market Me, that it was in the direction that he wanted to go. And so his staff knew. And then he had a meeting on the weekend. Who does that? Meeting on the weekend with her. Plus, we didn't even get into the different contracts. But here's the thing. For a direct contract, where they give it only to one person, if there's another company that can provide the same services, then there is no direct contract. They have to compete for that. And when she first applied, there was another, I think company is called OGC or something like that. There's another company that had a contract with, or had contracted with the government. So she shouldn't have gotten that direct contract. She shouldn't have gotten it. And Minister, so while we're pointing out to you the deficiencies with his argument, we're also pointing out to you that the commission failed. There was a dereliction of duty. It failed to follow up or to ask the right question, to conduct a proper investigation to get to the bottom of this. Because based on her answers, there's enough there to say, look, we need to explore this further. Because if she's saying from 2016 to 2019, we only had a professional relationship. What do you gather from that? She's saying that maybe before that there was something else. Maybe after that there was something else. So I would investigate the maybe.
Yeah, the possibilities exist. So let's go ahead and fill in those gaps.
Because she had 4 contracts after the date that she said. And I mean, where is it? We can read it to you where she said, where she gave the dates. She said she met him in 2011 in a professional capacity. He said he met when she managed the data center, he said, no, I met her at the running club. Yeah. And then she kept saying that any romantic affiliation, as alleged, is a private matter, right? She said that also that she was advised that she's constitutionally entitled to the right to privacy. Whoever advised her, they gave her, I don't know if they told her this, but breaking the law, the privacy right doesn't mean that you can break the law. They can still ask you questions, and then she wasn't under arrest either, because this was done by mail or in written form. She wasn't sitting in front of them, which I found to be interesting, because I would have them sit in front of me and then have them do like what the gentleman do today when him rub him hands like this when the question
nervous.
Yeah, I would have them do that. But she said, so when she said that the romantic affiliation is a private matter and has no bearing on the contractual relationship between Market Me and the ministry, she's completely wrong, because for conflict of interest, it has everything to do with it, whether or not there was a romantic relationship there. Then she go on, then she comes back later and try clean it up, and she said it is important to add the following to the investigation, that in my prior statement, this is what she's saying now, clarity was not brought to an alleged romantic relationship between myself and Dr. Christopher Tufton. So she said, I probably wasn't clear enough, because she realized what she said to them was problematic. She said, I now seek to do so by making it absolutely clear that on or about 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019, the period during which Market Me was involved in Jamaica Moves, the subject matter of the investigation, Dr. Tufton and I only had a professional relationship. Well, this idea where she said Market Me was involved in Jamaica Moves, they may come back and say, well, Jamaica Moves wasn't around in 2020 and 20. That's not the issue. The issue is you were getting government contracts. Did you have a relationship with him other than a professional relationship? The whole thing smells. Because he should have known better. He should have known better. Can the IC reopen this investigation? Colleen James. I suspect because they weren't charged. So there's nothing like double jeopardy or anything like that. If the DPP wanted to, I guess the DPP could say, yeah, I'll step in, I'll take this and run with it. Or the corruption prosecutor, they have to make a referral to him. But the DPP doesn't need a referral. She can just step in and deal with it. But people, I'm telling you, I know this thing is based on the report inside out, and I'm telling you, there is something not right with the relationship between the minister. There's something not right between the minister and this lady. And also there's something not right about how it was investigated. It would appear as if the Integrity Commission just wanted to just kind of just push this to the side and just get it over and done with. They just didn't want to get involved because it would have been nasty or whatever. But that's your job. Ask the right questions, conduct the right investigation. And they didn't. OT says statute of limitation. If they're looking at it from a corruption standpoint, there is no statute of limitation on corruption in Jamaica. There isn't. So look, there's so much more we could go into, but in the interest of time, Kevin and I rushed through it. Maybe we'll come back to this one another time. But we're not going to stop with this thing, because we still haven't gotten to the two contracts yet. Yeah, and it's important for you to understand the nature of these two contracts, because the way those contracts were issued, I guarantee you a lot of contracts will be issued now in the redevelopment of the western part of Jamaica. A lot of these same contracts will be issued. A lot of them, right? And we just need to know who, when, where, why, what, how, because the money that's coming in is not for the politician. That money is for the people of Jamaica, and we can see already that it's not working out for the Jamaican people. So again, people, I urge you, because we have less than 5 minutes. I urge you, go out, or you don't have to go out. You can stay home and register and vote. Register and vote. And the second thing is, put a little something aside and mark on your calendar December 8th, because on that day, we'll know whether that little something you put on the side will be used towards an appeal. That's what so those two things I need you to remember. Remember to register and vote, and remember to put a little something on the side, because we're going to appeal in the event that the judge give an adverse ruling to the principle that the constituted authority has no right to weigh the evidence before it. The only thing it has to do is once they see the affidavit, and they look at the four corners of the document, and once they see somebody saying that this happened, then the only thing they have to do is to move it on to the court. And then also, what we want is, we're coming back to Dr. Tufton, because here's why Dr. Tufton is so important. Dr. Tufton is, based on what I'm being told, is lining up to be the next prime minister in the event that the election is declared null and void, the election between Mr. Paul Buchanan and Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Because once it's declared null and void, there is no prime minister. He's gone. He's gone. So big up yourself, Don. Marilyn Fletcher said, great show, gentlemen. I'm in awe of your presentation. We try around here. We try. Mail-in. Sorry. Say Marilyn, mail-in. We try.
Even when it's not arranged,
Yeah, it wasn't arranged. We never practiced at all. We didn't practice. So Kevin asked the right questions, and I give some shifty answers. And I asked Kevin something, and Kevin wouldn't ease off at the point, saying that it has nothing to do with Market Me, and I have nothing to do with Market Me and the contracts with the ministry. It's like, my personal life is my personal life, and this has nothing to do with it. So, and so when they're standing their ground like that, it's the responsibility of the commission to come in, do what is necessary to unravel this thing and present it to the public. So, all right, Kevin, you can start up the music. Hey, want to thank Kevin, producer Joan, producer OT, and everybody involved with this little production. Yeah, you're gonna see more of this, people, because when we do this, it resounds better with you than if we just read the thing and put up the document. But when you see the interaction going, then I can see people thinking, I say, no man, Kevin, I lie. Or them say, Tufton, I lie. When me I lie. Or them say, no, Miss McCann, I lie. So you can see what's going on. And remember, a lot of the things you heard today came straight out of the report. So we provided the report to you. You didn't have to read it. Thank you.